Today's question is, spiritually speaking, what's the difference between mountain dwellers versus plains dwellers? I remember a chilly evening spent on a mountaintop in India with a 119-year-old master. We'd become very fond of each other over our many visits, and this night we were gazing out from the top of Mount Abu, looking over the vast plains of Rajasthan below. I was lamenting that he had it easier on his mountaintop. He only had one job as a guru, and that was to live a spiritual life with few distractions. As someone who lived down on those plains, I complained, I had to wear too many hats that often challenged my spiritual life. He started laughing so hard I thought he was going to fall off the mountain. Since one of his favorite pastimes was to make fun of me, I thought for sure he was going to tell me that was one of the best excuses he'd ever heard and that I should stop feeling sorry and get myself over. He had a penchant for American slang that often got rearranged. After he finished wiping the tears of laughter from his face, he said, "You found me out. I do have it easier. It's much harder being a plains dweller." While he spent the rest of the evening talking about mountain dwellers and plains dwellers, he wasn't delineating one as better than the other, as in higher or lower. Just that one was more naturally supportive of a spiritual way of life than the other. If you'd been one of the chattering monkeys in the trees eavesdropping on that conversation, you would have heard him explain that you and I came into this life as plains dwellers. What that means is we came in with a purpose to fully remember who we are, to wake up while being fully distracted by the masses of humanity. Living on the plains is living among the many. A mountain dweller is a spiritual person, such as a guru, who gets to live in a cave on a mountaintop. In many Eastern traditions, everybody accepts that it's the guru's job to be a spiritual being. That doesn't mean the guru is necessarily free of struggle, but that everybody protects and supports that this is that person's only job, which makes it exponentially easier to stay present and awake. As plains dwellers, we're in the middle of the battlefield with bombs going off everywhere as we shout to ourselves, "Okay, okay, I remember," while the guru sits up on the mountain looking down at us, smiling and thinking, "She says she remembers. Ha, 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 ha." To understand the concept of mountain dwellers and plains dwellers is to realize that we seem to have picked the hard way, because that's what plains dwellers often do. We pick the path that requires that our legs run as fast and as long as they can. We appear to need extreme pain to wake up. We don't actually, but it can sure seem like we do. And that's because it's more common for people who are struggling to pursue the path of the seeker, to move towards awakening. It's not the only way. You don't have to be depressed or suffering to have an awakening experience. It's just that pain and depression are pretty strong motivators that push us to want to experience something different, to be somewhere different, to be somebody different. A content, happy person is usually not as strongly motivated. That doesn't mean you can't enter the path of awakening through happiness. It has more to do with letting go of stories and making shifts. The emotional state just determines how strongly motivated someone is, but it doesn't determine the awakening experience itself. The thing is, despite who we are and how we get set up, once we get it, we get it. And then it becomes about how we share it with other plains dwellers. When we see another who's seeking, we often feel compelled to ask, how can I help you remember? But let's not kid ourselves. This is often a lonely journey we plains dwellers are on. We can be perceived as outliers, not normal, weird, out there. And while we know we're not crazy, the majority rules. It's important to remember to take a breath and realize that our path is our path and their path is their path. And that's okay, because there are many different paths. In the beginning, at least, it almost doesn't matter which path we're on. Just getting on a path, just starting out, is all that really matters. Yes, it's true. Some paths can get us there quicker than other paths. And there are those paths that will have us saying, this is it, only to eventually be exposed as another illusion. It's all part of the uncovering, discovering, and remembering. As you continue on, you'll find that many paths drop away and only a few are left, until you're so far along that you find the way has narrowed and there is only one path left to the end.